study it in depth. There are lots of scriptures. You can study all the scriptures, and you will know within your mind. The scriptures, according to our practice, have only one purpose. At the time of the Lord Buddha, there weren't any scriptures. The Lord Buddha advised the people, or his followers, or his disciples, to practice. He didn't advise them to study the Dhamma. And he said, the Dhamma, or the teaching, if you grab it at the tail, it will come back and bite you. So here is a place of practice. We don't need to study the Dhamma, we need to practice. And it's a big difference. That does not mean that the teaching of the Lord Buddha that is laid down in the scriptures has no value or has no meaning. It has the only meaning. And the only meaning is to get us down to practice. To convince us that the Dhamma that the Lord Buddha teaches is the correct one and that we can follow it, or that we want to follow it. That once we're convinced that this is the path that we want to go, there's very little we have to know. The most thing we have to do is to practice, to follow the path that the Lord Buddha so kindly let out for us. Following the path, we do not follow it with our mind, we follow it with our heart. That means we practice. So when I try to teach you the Dhamma, then most of the time I need either to encourage you to practice, but talking about the Dhamma, there are very, very little subjects that you really have to understand. All in all, there are the Four Noble Truths. The first Noble Truth, it means dukkha. Dukkha is a container for every kind of restlessness, for discontent, for unhappiness, for dissatisfaction, until suffering of the mind or suffering of the body. And that means dukkha. All in all, it's a container. We know that, and for most of us, it's the reason why we are here. We have all dukkha. Now the second noble truth is the noble truth of the origin of dukkha. The origin of dukkha, and it is avijja. The prime cause is avijja. So we have to understand what is avijja. The third noble truth, this is just a very happy statement that that means there is a way that can lead us to the end of all dukkha. And that is the fourth noble truth. The fourth noble truth is the way that leads to the end of all dukkha. When one looks at the Eightfold Path, I normally only elaborate on the three columns of this path that are Sila, Samadhi and Panya. That means virtue or morality, mindfulness and Samadhi. So that's all what we need. We need to develop mindfulness and be able to concentrate. We need to be attentive, investigative, dissective, to develop the wisdom to understand what is. And that's all what we need to go. Prerequisites for actually going on this path or for people who are interested to go on this path, are three things. They are called generosity, helping, being just generous. It's easier to let go of material things than it is to let go of things that we call ourselves, like feelings, like thoughts, like ideas. And the path of practice is actually letting go of these attachments, of these views, of these opinions. So when we have practiced some sort of generosity in our previous life or in this life, then it makes it easier to let go of the personal things. The personal things that are spiritual things, mind things, created by the mind. If I give away a material thing, that I'm very attached to, it's easier. So, it's sort of generosity, it's sort of pre-work to help us on our spiritual path. Generosity is one, being grateful for what one is given to us. In the West, we just call upon it. That belongs to us, or that is my right. What is my right? My only right is that to receive what I have sought. And that is the law of karma. Whatever I have produced in the past, or whatever I have sown in the past, that I will reap in the present moment. That is the only right I have. So for everything else that is given to me, I should be very grateful. Also, things that are given to me is part of my karma. Karma is the law of cause and effect. Karma is what one calls, or what is called in Christianity, what you sow, that you will reap. And what you sow is not only material things. Everybody in the world knows that. Every farmer in the world knows it. If it sows, if it sows wheat, it will reap wheat. If it plants apple trees, it will reap apples, and no peaches and nothing. So why do we don't believe that? Whatever we have put into motion in the past will come back to us. This is the law of karma. Every farmer knows it, and we should know it. And it's not only material things, it's spiritual things as well. So feelings that come to us now are the result of our karma. Thoughts that come to us now is the result of our karma. Sanya, memory and association that come to us now are. So we should accept them, not fight against them. Whatever happens in the world to us, that we have sown in the past. The people who suppress people today will be the suppressed ones tomorrow. So that's coming back to gratitude. That's why we should be grateful to what is given to us, and not say this is our right to get this or get that or get that. This is the wrong attitude. Respect is another thing that helps on the spiritual path. Respect for the teachers, for one's worldly teachers, for the spiritual teachers, and respect for the parents. How many years have our parents put their interests aside to raise us? How many years? 15, at least 16 years, sometimes 18 or 20 years. They've done everything for us to grow up, to fit in the society, to be independent. They have done it with their best intentions, and we cannot doubt that. That they have their faults, like we have our faults, that is just not. There is no person in the world except an Arahant that doesn't have any fault. And our parents are not an Arahant. So how can we judge our parents? And also having fault if we ourselves don't have fault. It's not only our parents, it's also the worldly teachers we met. It's also the people, in the company. Everywhere where we work with, everywhere where we share. They all have their faults, they all have good intentions, all of them have also bad intentions. Some are trying to get rid of their bad intentions, others try not to get rid of their bad intentions. What we can do when we look at this is to correct one person. We cannot correct other persons, we can only correct ourselves. So when we see a fault in other people, we correct it within ourselves. That sounds strange. If we see a fault in other people, we normally react towards that fault angrily or disgustingly. And this kind of reaction shows us that there is a very similar character, and this we can correct. So we're not blaming other people, blaming ourselves. And if we are not willing, or if we cannot find the fault at the moment, then we better be very. But if you're going to practice along the path, you will be able, and if you're honest, you will be able to find it within yourself. And then root it out. Get rid of it. And once you get rid of it, and you see a person who has the fault that you had, and you have really get rid of it, you have just metta for that person. There's no anger coming up. There's no disgust coming up. You have metta because you have understood for your own, you have understood for yourself what kind of suffering or what kind of dukkha this kind of characteristic tendency produced within yourself. And then there's no problem with this world anymore. So taking the world as a mirror of ourselves is a very healthy attitude. It's not the fault of the others, it's ours. So I was at respect. Respect to look up to other people. And not only to look up to ourselves. Not only how great we are, but respect how great other people are. Every one of us has good sides, and every one of us has bad sides. Respect takes, all of us have a right to live. So respect is a very healthy attitude. It's too bad, that these three things, these three prerequisites for our spiritual practice have been lost in the West. They are still a little bit more predominant in the East and in Thailand. Generosity is here a very big issue. Respect is a very big issue here in Thailand. And gratitude is also an issue. In the West, they have been swept away because they mean we cannot do what we want to do. We cannot be what we want to do. Self-growth is a big issue in the West. Independence is a big issue in the West. Are we really independent? We need food. We need water. We need air to breathe. And every one of us needs it. So how independent can we be? We can be as much as independent as we live off lives of others. The more independent we are, the more we are using others. We live off others. For our growth, for our self-growth. The path leads to metta, to loving kindness, and leads to the exact opposite, living for the other, not living off the other. It is taught in the West, to become independent, and it's taught in the. So these things we have to know: generosity, gratitude, respect. If we do not respect others, we do not act. It's something, every kind characteristic tendencies, like respect. If we do not accept other people, we do not accept ourselves. If we do not respect other people, if we cannot respect other people, we cannot respect ourselves. Why cannot we respect ourselves? Why cannot we accept ourselves? Because we see, consciously or unconsciously, that there are things within ourselves that we do not call good. The first step on the path of practice is to accept the good side and the bad. Stay on Buddha. So, just make invention. There are good characteristic tendencies we have, and they are bad. The first thing is to be honest. Okay, this is something, that is not really good. This is something I need to correct. But because of our laziness, we don't want to correct it, because these things are difficult to correct. So, we do not accept them as part of us. And in the end, we just hide them somewhere in the corner, or in the cupboard, or sometimes lock up the house and say, this house doesn't belong to us. And in the end, if we do that very long, we get. However, or whatever it is, in the beginning of our practice, we just accept. We would not be born, if we wouldn't have it. So these things need to be balanced. First of all, they need to be accepted that they are there. And then the second thing is, once you accept, if you don't have any mindfulness, it's difficult to see them. It's like, you're walking on the street and you see a big piece of shit, and your eyes always see it. Better example is you go into your apartment or you go in your flat and there are some things that are not in order, and you notice it all the time, but you just and the first thing is to look. See, I don't like this, to look away from it. Looking away, and always feeling this unpleasant feeling that there is something in the back that has not been done correctly, or that has not done rightly. It's something, that is a little fire that is burning our heart. And if we don't put out the fire, it constantly burns our heart. So get rid of it. And that means get rid of our bad tendencies and develop things that lead to a cool heart. Heart on fire is an angry heart. And if we think, anger is something that is very much exciting, very much pleasant, then we should investigate that kind of thing. If it's really that much exciting, or if it's really that pleasant. And if we investigate in line with the truth, we will find out that it's to the contrary. That's very unpleasant. It's the same thing with greed. Not only anger. Greed is the same thing. Greed is a stove that burns our heart. If you cannot satisfy the greed, it will burn us out. If you can satisfy it, it seems that the fire ceases for a moment. But the moment the fire ceases, the fire of greed ceases, because we get what we want, then the next fire comes up. We cannot stay with just one thing. We want a new car, and then once we have a new car, then we think about an airplane, or a boat, or a tent, or whatever. We always want. And we always not want. We do not want this to happen. We want this to happen. We do not want that to happen, and we want that to happen. So the fire of our stove in our heart is burning very high. And once you know the calm of the heart, once you have been able to calm the heart to the point of samadhi, then you know that fire. So we are the ones who always put the coal or the wood into the fire. And we are the ones who blame, not us, of course, it's not us. We blame the world for making us suffer, for making us feeling discontent. If you start to see the things in line with the truth, we might realize that it is us that produces the dukkha. Once we know how to curb in the mind, how we know how to make the mind calm to the suffering or to the dukkha that normally is present. The longer we can calm the mind, the longer we can stay in samadhi, the more contrast it is when we come out of samadhi. Once you have stayed in samadhi or in the calm, for a few days, and then you come out, you think a world war is going. But if you just stay in calm, for a minute, there's not a big difference. There's a difference, but not a very big. So the first thing for us is to bring the mind to calm. So we put it on one object. Just on one object. And let it stay there. And let it stay there, and don't let it. Once it's willing, once the mind is willing to stay at that one object, the mind becomes automatically contented and calm. And if it's very calm, it becomes happy. Just it. So all the activities in the world we do lead to restlessness. And we lead to even more restlessness the longer we follow. The activity, the simple activity of just putting the mind on one point, fixing it on one point, being at the breathing, the mental repetition of the word Buddha, 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 just does the job. Think about it. And what are the people in the world doing, to find content? The work they're back on, and they never find it. They find it bits and pieces of it, and yet it is so easy. Yet it is so easy to get the mind calm, just to calm it down, just to put it on that one object. One object of attention brings down the restlessness of the mind that runs away. About investigation or samadhi, development of wisdom, I will talk later. So, these are these are a few of the things we have. There are generosity, respect, gratitude. I mentioned the law of karma. That is something we really have to understand. There's another thing we have to understand, or we have more in the beginning, more or less, to accept that there is hell and that there is heaven. That there are beings in hell and that there are beings in heaven. The only other, that does not mean that there are not other beings as well. We might not see them. Some of us, a few of us, can see them. They can see the ghosts. In Thailand, they are quite good at it, and they're exceptionally afraid of them. So they can see the ghosts. Some people in the West can see ghosts, and some people in the West can see heavenly beings, especially if they're young. That doesn't mean that they don't exist. 6th level of existence. The 5 lower levels are the level of animals. The upper levels are all the heavenly realms. You start with the Rupa Devas, the Devas who are still attached to the country and to the forests and plants and things. 31, yeah, there are 31 realms of heavenly realms. The 5 highest heavenly realms are reserved for the Anatta. Let go there. So,
Brahma is in one of these. He's not an anagami.
Huh?
Brahma.
The 4 Brahma Viharas are heavenly realms.
But he's not an anagami.
No. No, anagamis are non-returners. They never come back. They have nothing to do with this world anymore. They have seen through the world and they have no attachment to this world, to this 3 world of existence, as we call it correctly. So Brahma, the Brahma came to offer food to the Lord.
But anagamis are above Brahma.
Yes. They have names, but my memory is like a sieve. I forget it. The only thing I can remember is what I really actually experienced in my own practice. And if somebody touches this with words, I might remember this. But everything else I forgot. Never studied. I've never studied Pali. I read a little bit of the suttas of the Lord Buddha, and now and then recall it. Otherwise, it is really like a seed. The name comes in and it goes on. I have to ask people. And the more difficult, and in Thai, it was extremely difficult to remember names. No, the Brahma is just one being. So, you brought me out, yeah? So, of course, we want all to be in the heavenly realms, enjoy the heavenly bliss, forgetting that the heavenly beings, once they live, if you spend your fortune, for instance, if you spend your fortune in holidays, and all your fortune is gone, you have to go back to the hell of work to earn it again. Isn't it?
Yes.
So why should it be different in other realms? Normally, I speak now. What I say this is not from own experience. I speak from what Thanacham Mahaprabhu said when he saw through. If he just would put the bones of his life across the country of Thailand, and country of Thailand is not a small country, it's bigger than Germany, then there wouldn't be any empty space. So many lives as he lived. And he said, he's going from hell, going up to heaven, and from heaven directly down to hell. It depends on our karma. If we have good karma, to go to the heavenly realms, and that good karma is exhausted, and then the bad karma comes, and grabs us and puts us in the hell. In the human realm, we are able to do good karma, within 2 hours or 3 hours, that sends us to heavenly realms for thousands of years. But the same thing is true. We can, within 2 hours, we can do some bad karma to send us to hell for 160,000. We just need to kill our mother or father. We need to kill an arahant. We need to draw the blood of the Lord Buddha, or we need to split the sun. These are the 5 gravest deeds that we can do within our life. If we do them, they give us the guarantee to spend in the lowest or darkest hell for 160,000. Just 160,000 years. What do we do? What do we know about the history of our planet or of our civilization? It's 7,000 years.
7,000 years.
That's about what we know. In the history, maybe it's 8,000 or 9,000 years, but we really hardly know anything. We have found some, we have found some bones from some living beings about 1 million or 4 million years, but what do we know about it? We don't know. Because no stone will last more than 7,000 years, and bones won't last. That's all what we know, 7,000 years. If we just kill our parents, it will lead us to hell for 160 years. What we do in terms of bad karma, it's easily done. It's easily done because of our greed. We just don't see that. We just don't see the effect. We are not mindfulness enough to see the effect. There's a story in the suttas. The queen of King Bimbisara. She was a disciple of the Lord Buddha, a very faithful disciple of the Lord Buddha, and King Bimbisara as well. So when the queen died, the king asked in which heaven she is. And the Lord Buddha did not say anything for 7 days. He did not answer because he didn't want to disappoint the king. And why did she go to hell? There was one little incident. One little incident that led her to hell for 7 days. She was in the bathroom taking a shower, and there was a small dog, and the small dog, was licking her vagina, and she enjoyed it, and she lied to her husband, and that's it. Just this. Now think about all the other things we have done. Just this little incident, that she lied to her husband and had sexual misconduct, that is what is called, brought her to hell for 7 days. But after 7 days, the Lord Buddha said, now she is in the highest heaven. So sometimes these things, that's why I say, from hell we go straight to heaven, or from heaven we go straight to hell. Because we have something, that we have to, get out of our way. Bad karma or good karma. So some people, when they die, they go because they remember one of their good deeds, so they go directly to the heavenly realm, and then before the time is exhausted, they remember something very bad, what they have done in their previous life, and they go back to it. And then they might go back to the human realm, where they can do within a lifetime enough karma that leads them to heaven or to hell for hundreds and thousands of years. So now you're a human being. Remember this very well. Do whatever is necessary to do and stay within the 5 precepts. As I said before, the 5 precepts are the guide. If you do not observe the 5 precepts, they will lead us to the lower realm. That's the 5 precepts Well, if you want to go down there, everyone has his own free will. Now what else do we need to know? We need to know the law of karma. So whatever we saw, that we will reap. If you saw love, you will reap love and not hate. If you saw hate, we will reap hate and not love. If you saw envy, we will reap envy. Everything, what is within our mind, makes karma. Our thoughts make karma. Our speech make karma. So be very, very, very careful. Because in the West, we are very much trained with our speech. We can hurt other people with our words much more than we can do with our speech. That is karma. Mind karma, the karma of thinking is karma. It's not that heavy. But the karma of words can be very heavy. And the karma of deeds can be very heavy. So remember that. Whatever we do, whatever we think, whatever we say, we need some mindfulness. We need some awareness of what we are doing, why we are doing it, and what results our action has. And if our action has a wholesome result, of course, then we should do it again and again and again. If our action has an unwholesome result, then we should let it go, not do it again, and develop other wholesome activities. This is training of the mind. So what else do we need to know? We need to know about the three fundamental characteristics of the universe, that is anicca, anatta, dukkha. That is impermanent, not self, and dukkha, as I explained before, discontent. All phenomena in all this universe have these three characteristic tendencies. This needs to be explained. Then another thing needs to be explained. I don't explain it now. I just want to make a wide birch. What actually do we need to understand to go along the path of practice? That is the five khandhas. The Lord Buddha teaches us that the whole universe exists within the 6 foot long. What is this 5 foot body made of? It's made of the body, it's made of feeling, it's made of sanya, that means memory and association, it's made of thinking and consciousness. That's it. Everything we see and receive in this universe is made out of these 5 ingredients. It's just a big variation on these ingredients. So if we understand the 5 khandhas, we understand everything. If we start investigating the body, we need to know the 4 elements. The 4 elements the whole universe exists of. This is the earth element, the fire element, the water element, and the air. These things need to be explained. Anicca, anatta, dukkha needs to be explained. The 5 khandhas needs to be explained. And of course, avijja. And avijja and its 3 branches. Delusion, greed, and hate. That needs to be. And everything else is not necessary if you start along the road. It's just access, baggage on our walk towards me. Every kind of knowledge we have about the scriptures, everything can be baggage that weighs us down. If we open our backpack, and then once on the road, we open our backpack and we see it's full of heavy stones. These are the kind of heavy stones. Excess knowledge about the past can lead us in the wrong direction. Views and opinions are heavy stones that make us doubt, that make us hinder, that might make us go in the wrong direction. So along the path, the best thing is to empty our backpack, and just fly along the path. That is the easiest. So normally more I do not explain. That's all what is necessary. Once in a while I go on this, and once in a while I explain this in more detail. But everything else is not really necessary for our practice. The practice itself is difficult enough. It's difficult enough to curb in the mind. And what we need to know is something that we need to develop within ourselves. The skills and means to get along. To not fall into the trap that the magician of Avicca laid out. To not fall for the tricks that this magician of Avicca. And all this magician. He's sitting behind your ears and whispers in your ears, this I like, this I don't like. This I want, this I don't want. This should happen, this shouldn't have happened. This is I. He sits there 24 hours a day and whispers in your ear. And and this kind of magician we have. If we are able to reduce the power, then we will find some time for ourselves. And that can be either the calm. Samadhi is a stage where this magician doesn't have any influence. The deep samadhi, the apana samadhi, that is the stage where he is. Absolutely. So these are the two resting rooms for us to get away from it. Now I explained everything that we need to know when we go along the path, in terms of Dhamma, and the rest, as I said in the beginning, is just admonishment or encouragement to stay along the path, to walk along the path. Sometimes it is necessary to have a Kalyana Mitta. A Kalyana Mitta is a spiritual friend. A spiritual friend that encourages you to go on and scolds you when you go wrong. That is called Kalyana Mitta. And when Ananda, when Venerable Ananda asked the Lord Buddha, if a Kalyana Mitta is half of the spiritual life, the Lord Buddha replied, do not say so, Ananda. A spiritual friend is the whole spiritual. If you have somebody, if you find somebody along your path of practice, if you find a spiritual friend like that, just hang on to it. You know how difficult it is in the world to find a good friend. A friend that you can rely on, a friend that gives you comfort, a friend that also admonishes you if you do something wrong. It's very difficult in the world to find one. Also in the spiritual world it's difficult. So find one and then stick to it. In the future I will elaborate on this part or on that part. So normally do. You can pray to the Arahants, and that's what they normally do.
But
either to the living or to the dead.
I don't know, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But can you receive help from them? Can you, or they do it to build up their faith, or?
It's difficult to say why they do it, you know. You have to ask each piece.
Okay.
Each person does it, you know, because of a different, you know, like the people go into the church, you know, and then ask Jesus to get the lottery numbers for the next. And that's what they normally ask in Thailand. To ask some people, you know, who are more faithful or who are more disciples, you know, they ask to get along the path or to get in the mood of going this path.
No, what do they pray for? But can you really receive help from them?
Of course you can. Why shouldn't you be able? If you ask the Lord Buddha, you know, for his help, you know, to help you along the path, or you know, to help you get you in the mood of practicing, he will help you.
I really don't know.
Yes.
I mean, I have kind of a similar question. Yeah, people pray because the supernatural goddess can give them some power, but why to give money and to ask for some good things in real life to the humans?
Mm-hmm. And not only that to us. I don't know if they. I don't know.
No, of course you don't know. And that is the problem of all of us. We don't know.
Get there, then we will know.
If you get there, you will know and you will understand.
We come back and tell you.
No, what you pray actually. You pray to, and it is not a wrong thing to do. It's the same thing when you repeat the word Buddha, you know, and you have faith for the Lord Buddha. This will turn on the faith within your heart. What you do is nothing, you know. You turn to the riches within your heart. That they will appear. The Lord Buddha is within your heart. The Arahants are within your heart. They're all there. So when you pray to them. And of course they will have an effect. But if you pray and if you don't believe it, you know, of course they will have no effect. You have to have this sattha. Sattha means, you know, the trust that they will help. And then they will help you. Why shouldn't they? But they don't come in person, you know.
No,
but they help you, you know. They help you as much as they can. Well, what kind of work do the Arahants have to do? Nothing anymore. They have finished their work. So all what they are there for. And as long as, of course, as they are human beings in this realm, you know, they are much more helpful. Because then you actually can go to them in person, you know, and ask them for advice. Otherwise it's a bit more difficult. You can ask them for help, you know, but you don't know how the help is coming. And you just might question it because you don't believe it. But actually the help has come. Not in the form that you want it. Even if you go to an Arahant and you ask him for something, you know, he might give you something that helps you, but it's not the thing that you expect. Because he scolds you, you know, he scolds you until, you know, you get really, it can really make you angry. But not because he has bad intentions, but he wants to show you. These are so the help that you expect is not the help that is given to you. But the help that is given to you is always the help, you know, to grow on the spiritual path. So you call upon your own heart, because in your heart everything is. If Nibbana is there, and Nibbana is everything. The only problem is we can't see. And the second most problem, or the biggest problem, is that we don't believe. We just don't believe. We look for the wholeness in the world, we look for contentment in the world, we look for all the pleasures in the world. We don't realize that all these pleasures arise within this one little spot. Or do they arise in the trees or the cars or the person? Have you ever seen that? Does the pleasure arises in the car, or does it arise in your heart? The anger arises in your own heart, not in the other person. The other person. So if you pray, and if you really mean it, what was your question? Your question was more with giving things to the Arahant. Of course, Arahant is not a godman, but he is a holy person. He's the only holy person. Even the gods in the heavens, they may be the creators of the world, or even the universe. They are creators and destroyers of the universe. They have a very long life. So they create. Some of these gods create, but once their life is gone, they will go back. Well, when they destroy the heavenly beings can do bad karma as well. Devas can do quite heavy karma as well. They still have likes in this life. They might not like a person, and might lead it. There was a Deva. When I say Deva, I mean heavenly being. In the cave, the Sarika cave, that wanted to kill Achanman. And Achanman was at that time, he was at least a Sakataka. So he was already a holy person. There are four grades of holiness. The first is the Sotapanna, that is the first grade of holiness. Sakatagami, a once returned, but in the end, Achanman, saw him, and talked him out of it. Because he had killed, lots of monks in this cave. Because he was the owner of the cave. And he didn't allow anybody to stay in this cave. So whoever came, normally in people who practice, but of course they can be distorted in their views, and that's why they have a myth. He's not worth of living. Well, why should heavenly beings, beings are beings. Heavenly beings can do a lot of good karma, can do a lot of bad karma. Also people in the lower realm, if they are lord of the house, they can do heavy karma. And when you look at the death of Moggallana, Moggallana? Moggallana was the right hand of the Lord Buddha, and he was an Arahant, and when you look at his death, he was pounded to death by 7 people. 7 bandits pounded him with stones and deceiving other people. Where do you think in the West all these fairy tales are? Do you think people, just made them up? If you go and read in a little bit in the sutras of the Lord Buddha, you will find, lots of demons, like in German, Rübezahl, Asukai, demons who fight, and try to trick human beings. There are lots, especially in the. So they don't come, they don't just come out of the blue. Also the gods of the Greeks, and at that time, when there were few beings, beings of the other realms, and especially, our level of understanding was still, so some of us could see these beings. Now, because of our overgrown or over-petitioned rational mind, we just don't see them, or we don't accept them. So we cannot act with them, counteract with them, or interact with them. But that doesn't mean that they don't exist. But they keep to their realms, and we keep.
Here in Thailand I see it's a lot, but actually everywhere was to devas, flowers, or honey, or... So
there are rituals. Well, any kind of ritual doesn't have any, think about it. Any ritual has no meaning if there's no certain belief in it or trust in it.
Yeah.
So if you believe in it, if you really want to honor your dead or the ghost, then you do honor them. and there's nothing. But if you just use the ritual, people show the ritual of respect, but they have no respect. So it's not useful at all. And it's the same thing most of the time. Has no use at all. Sometimes it does. It depends on how we stay to this ritual, how we believe it in, how we trust it. Then this will have the effect on our heart. If we share our merit with our being, it will have. The practice that we are doing today, the merit that we have done with our practice of erasing the evil and developing the good, and people who are able to receive it will receive it. So you can share it. You can make some good merit. We can not only share, material things, but we can share also immaterial. The merit that we have done. And of course we can share, the loving kindness that we feel, once we get a little bit calm and we feel the loving kindness coming up in our heart, we can share with all the people. And don't, especially heavenly people. But there is nothing, no being in all the realms that is so no being. The heavenly realm, each realm has a lord or leader, and they respect their leader, and they adhere to the leader, and they follow the order. In the heavenly realm and in the lower realm, even the ghost realm. The ghost realm. But what they respect in the lower realm and in the heavenly realm is the virtue. And what in the human realm is not respected, people who are really doing it. They are called fools. That's why there's nothing worse in the human realm. The beings in the human realm, they are so stubborn, they are so conceited that it breaks everything. They just believe what they see within their own. People in the upper realm, they know that there's a law of karma. People in the lower realm do know that there's a law of karma. But here, you see it all over the planet. Just your